Welcome to the Class of 87 podcast, where the memories are a little blurry, the laughter's still loud, and nobody's quite sure how we all got this old. We're catching up with the legends of Bryanston High, rebels, the prefects, the heartthrobs, and the ones who just tried not to get caught, to find out where life took them and what they remember, pretend to remember, about those unforgettable years. Today we're talking to Marianne Kloosterman. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and let's see what really happened behind those school gates. In the studio today, we've got Jackie Diera, who will kick us off. We have Peter van Niekerk, we have David Hugo, and I'm Barry Bramley. Jax, over to you.
Marianne, I have had some contact with you over the last couple of years, which has been lovely. And it is lovely to see you again today and to hear your voice and to be able to talk to you.
Absolutely. Likewise, Jackie.
Marianne, my opening question. How did you end up at Bryanston High School in the 1987 cohort, and when did you arrive?
Well, I didn't really have any choice in the matter. My brother was already at Bryanston High School, so my parents were absolutely determined that I would go as well. And it was so funny hearing you say how your dad wanted you to go to St. Mary's and you point blank refused, because for me it was the opposite. My best friend from Bryandale Primary, Lynette, was going to St. Mary's, and I begged my parents to let me go. And it was just a no-go. Probably it was, I don't know, maybe too expensive. I don't know. But there was just I had no choice in the matter. So I landed up in Standard 6 in 1983.
Okay, lovely. Well, it swings in so many different ways. I have a son who, like you, was forced to go to the same school as his older sister, and I have a feeling it's something he's going to hold against me forever.
Hope not.
When you think back to Bryanston High, Marianne, what's the first image or memory that comes to mind?
I can remember us all being in the hall on the first day, I suppose it was. And strangely enough, I have a memory of Scott Mackenzie. He had just come down from, if I'm correct, he had just come down from Zim. And I remember his red hair and him being very friendly and, having little chats with him. And I also remember that alarmingly quickly after that day, we all had to take part in swimming trials. And I was horrified and got my mom to write a letter so that I didn't have to, because I was just not going to take part in that. That's pretty much it. I also remember having quite a hard time in the beginning to make friends because there weren't a whole lot of people who came from Bryandale. Later on, I found out that there actually were more than I knew at the time. So I remember walking around feeling quite lost in the beginning.
Yeah, and it was a big group when we were at school. So
absolutely.
I think quite easy to feel lost.
Definitely, yeah.
Marianne, what's one thing you did at school that you might not want your children to know about?
I've heard this question being asked to the others, so of course I've thought about that. I wasn't so much of a rebel, which probably won't surprise most people, but I do remember quite a number of times that Samantha and I were in cars with guys who had certainly imbibed more than the legal allowance of alcohol. So I think we were in some pretty tricky situations. Thank God nothing bad ever happened. But I think that the drunk driving that took place was just unbelievable. I certainly wouldn't want my kids to do that. That's pretty much it, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can totally relate to that. There were different days, and I think that we definitely had guardian angels dedicated to us.
Absolutely.
Because we all got up to stuff which when you reflect on these days, it's hard to believe that we actually survived.
And not only being in the car with the driver, but also like sitting on the sort of roof of cabriolets and that kind of thing. So just in all aspects, being very dangerous.
If we could take you back to your school years and put you back into your school uniform for one day only, what would you do differently?
Well, I suppose I would just have much more fun. I would just, enjoy myself and realize how precious that time is and not be so serious, not worry so much about what people are thinking about me. Yeah, I would just cherish the fun and the carefree time that we had, I think. Yeah, because I was a very serious... I realized that when I went to the high school reunion and the 20th reunion that we had. That was the first time I think we all had a big reunion. And I sort of reflected on my high school self and I thought, wow, I was just, for some reason, I was under so much pressure. And I mean, why? I don't know why. I mean, I can obviously figure it out in retrospect. It had to do with my family, and it had to do with the pressure that I think we were all under. There was a huge amount of striving and competition, and there was so much emphasis placed on achievements. I would have taken more time to enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, the irony is so many of us realize that and have similar reflections, and we pass that on to our children, but it goes in one ear, out the other, and they experience exactly the same as what we do.
I know.
Marianne, what was your most embarrassing or funniest moment at school, if you can share that with us?
Well, I know that I had several crushes on guys who were always very cool and very unattainable, sometimes older than I was. And of course, I was friends with Samantha, who was ultimately cool. So I can remember sometimes sort of sending her on a mission to inquire from said person whether they were into me. And there were many cases of unrequited love, as I remember. And I can also remember I was not good at sports at all. And I don't know whether we were forced to all take part in sports, but I can remember very grudgingly being in a netball team, but I was like the sort of loser team. And then one time the A team, they were missing out on a player, and there was a away game. And so I was asked to play a defense position. And I remember going there in the bus with them, and we were all in high spirits and having fun, and I was terrible. I just let the team down so badly. And I remember the bus on the way home, and it was just like complete silence. It just felt, I was mortified. I felt like they were trying to not necessarily say out loud how disappointed they were, but that was just, I really felt like I let them down. So sorry, a netball team. I'm really sorry to all of you, and hope you're over it by now.
I'm sure they are. Were there any detentions, suspensions, or near misses we should know about?
No. I was a very good pupil. No, I do remember that. I do remember Samantha and I sometimes taking sort of abuses of power, because as prefects, we would sometimes have to do things during classes, and then we would like pretend that it had taken much longer than it in reality had. So we wouldn't like return straight away to class.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, a little bit naughty.
Yeah, in my own way.
Marianne, did you go on a matric back?
Definitely.
And who did you go with, and where did you go?
I went with Janine van Zyl, Arena Brombacher, Bridget Birchall, Lindsay Goldie. There were 5 of us, and it was a fun group because we weren't like necessarily best friends. I think Bridget and Arena were best friends, but the rest of us was just a little eclectic group. And Janine's parents had a beautiful house in Nature's Valley, so we went there, and it was amazing.
Oh, that sounds
And I
fantastic.
can remember the soundtrack of that holiday was Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night. That album had just been released, and we played it all the time.
Lovely memories.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Marianne, thank you very much. Those are my questions.
Marianne, we're going to move on to our next section. We call it the rapid fire section. You're going to get another time at this, but it's really like a one-word answer. Don't think too deeply. Just let it come.
Okay.
Who were your closest friends at school? I obviously know the one.
Yeah, Samantha. And I was good friends with Nicole in standard 6 and 7. And I remember us being in 10F. I think there were only a few girls, lots of guys. And I think that we were quite close, most of the girls in that class. And I was good friends with most of the prefects, I think. So, but it was just, Samantha was definitely my BFF.
Well, I remember in maths class, you and Samantha and I used to talk to you a lot. That just rings a bell anyway. Mrs. Capini. Yeah.
Mrs. Capini, yes, goodness. She was a fantastic teacher. Honestly, the way she taught maths, unbelievable.
Were you a rebel, a teacher's pet, somewhere in between?
I'm sure I was a teacher's pet. I don't think I was very rebellious. That came later.
That's cool. What subject or teacher stands out the most, for good or bad reasons?
Okay, so we had a history teacher in matric, and I don't remember his name. He was also very young, and I can remember that he had political cartoons on pinned up on a notice board. And I know the teachers weren't allowed to be members of political parties in that time. The deep, dark days of apartheid. And I remember just thinking how cool he was. He was very, in Dutch, we would say stoer. He was very courageous in a cool way. So actually, I wish if anybody who's listening to this remembers what his name was, please.
It was Mr. Lowell, Mario. Mr.
Mr.
Knowles.
Knowles.
David Knowles, yeah.
David
He
Knowles.
ended up
Oh,
director. He was recently, he might even still be director of St. Stithians.
amazing. Oh, he was a great guy. I remember him being very flustered by me and Samantha, but he was just, yeah, shout out to him.
Did you have any, and you alluded to it, did you have any high school crush, a fellow pupil, or even a teacher? Maybe it was him.
No, I didn't have any crushes on teachers, and I did have boyfriends when I was in Standard 8 who were in matric. I had two, not at the same time. But after that, I didn't date anybody at school. No. And my
Okay, well, then
crushes, I will take with me to my grave. The
That's
names.
okay. It's okay. I remember a certain time at Jacques Steinman's house, but anyway.
No comment.
Cool. Were you ever bullied by anyone?
Yeah, certainly in Standard 6 and 7, I can remember. Yeah, I think I was easy prey. I was very sort of nerdy and innocent and didn't really could I sort of know what was going on. And I remember there were a few girls who were much more sort of worldly wise. Yeah, I did feel intimidated by them. But I got over all that by Standard 8.
Okay, well, and on the reverse side, did you bully anyone?
Please.
No. The last one, do you remember Elon Musk from school?
No, I have told so many people that I was at school with him, which is, of course, an incredible fact. But no, I have no recollection of him whatsoever. But are you going to ask me about Glavkos Varkas?
Much later.
Oh, okay.
But just on that point, it's so funny that some people remember him really well, like Jacques Steinman, and I'm like you, I have no clue. Anyway.
And is that true though, really? Because I mean, he must have been in Standard 6 when we were in matric. So how would you remember?
No, he was a year, no more than 2 years behind us, but I think he was a year behind us.
Really?
Jacques and David Hodnett remember him well.
Interesting. I find that very interesting.
Okay, I'm going to pass you on now to Barry Bramley for the next section.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about life since 1987. Where have you lived since matric? Cities, countries? Give us a list.
Actually, only in Amsterdam and now Leiden, where I live in the Netherlands. I've only lived in the Netherlands. I did spend a year traveling after matric. I was in Israel and a kibbutz for about 6 months, and then I traveled around Europe, but only ever lived in good old Holland.
All right. What's one unexpected turn your life took that you never saw coming?
An unexpected turn?
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm quite surprised that I landed up married to a Dutchman, because when I just moved here, I thought, oh my goodness, they are so boring and they don't know how to flirt, and I could not imagine myself being with one. And I've been happily married for more than 26 years to somebody that I'm still really in love with. So, yeah.
Has he learned how to flirt?
No, but he's younger than me. He's 4 years younger than me. And when I met him, I was 27 and he was 23. And he didn't really have to flirt because it was just this sort of animal magnetism going on.
Oh, yo. Okay.
Are you blushing?
I may be.
That's an X-rated part that comes later. Or paying subscribers.
Have you stayed in touch with any classmates over the years?
Yeah, definitely. So I was good friends with Robin Bell, and we're still close. She's now in Australia. So I've definitely stayed in touch with her. I've reconnected with Janine, seen her a few times in the last few years. Arena has also been over here because her kids are studying here. Yeah, and also just through WhatsApp. And people like Robert Williams, Stephen Carelfi. We met up again at the 20-year reunion, and I was invited for dinner at Stephen's fantastic house. And I feel like I've been in touch with quite a lot of people here and there via social media or face to face.
Okay. Yeah. What's something 17-year-old you would be shocked to know about who you've become today?
Shocked? That sounds very negative.
It could be because you did something amazing that you didn't expect to happen. Doesn't have to be negative.
Marry a 4-year-old, a man 4 years younger.
Yeah, I suppose at the time that I was 17, he was 13. So that would have been quite a shock for me if I had sort of like someone had shown me a photo and said, this is he's also a redhead, which I would never have imagined. I would always have imagined myself marrying a tall, dark, handsome man. So that's certainly surprising. I suppose also my work, I wouldn't necessarily have thought of myself as I'm working now as a therapist, and I would not necessarily have thought of that. And I suppose just the fact that I'm happy and content and self-confident. I don't think that I was necessarily those things to the degree that I am today. I wasn't as a 17-year-old. I mean, who is, but still. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I would have been pleasantly surprised.
All right. And who or what has been your biggest influence or turning point since high school?
I changed my career after the age of 50. So that's been a big turning point. But I think leading up to that, I decided to become a yoga teacher when I was 30, well, I don't know, late 30s. And I have honestly had the privilege of meeting some fantastic teachers, over the years. So they've been very big influences on me. People who are very in touch with their spiritual side or who are just great teachers in general. So I have been very inspired by them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to hand you over to David now. He's going to talk to you about your family and personal life.
So, Marianne, we've touched on family a bit, but maybe to expand it a bit, tell us about the people who fill your home, or the people, pets that fill your life and your home.
Yeah, so I'm married to Mark, and then I've got 2 girls, 2 daughters, 25 and 22, and the 22-year-old still lives at home. My 25-year-old daughter has been studying the past 2 years in Belgium, and she's now spending a semester in Egypt. So we've just been to visit her in Cairo. And then I have a dog, Otis, the Labrador.
And Marianne, tell us something that you've learned about family or relationships that you wish you knew back in the day.
Well, I've definitely learned that we are, as the children, just love their parents a ridiculous amount, to the extent that as a child you're prepared to take on so much stuff that's actually your parents' sort of burden, as it were. So I've certainly learned that there are patterns that are passed on from one generation to the next, and I think it's our duty or certainly my duty as a parent, to try and kind of break through or change the pattern and not pass it on to my kids. So I always felt very responsible for my parents and my family, and I've tried to let my children be children and just not take so much responsibility onto their shoulders for what's going on in the family.
And then, Marianne, tell us a bit about how you spend your free time these days.
Well, I love doing yoga still. So I take lots of yoga classes. I'm not teaching at the moment. I love going for walks with our dog, our Labrador. I love reading. I've just started a book club, and we discuss books in English, which is fun.
Drink wine and discuss books, or just discuss books?
We certainly drink wine. Yes, that is absolutely a requirement to take part. I love movies. I love series. I used to go to a lot of concerts, music concerts. I don't so much anymore. I suppose age has caught up with us. Yeah, lots of cultural activities, I suppose one could say. I'm still not sporty at all. Oh, and I love swimming. So during the summer, I love going swimming.
Oh, wonderful. And have you had a life disaster that you could tell us about?
My brother died when he was 27 and I was 24. So that had a huge impact on me and obviously my parents. And he committed suicide.
Sure.
So it was very tragic. And
Yeah.
I can't say it was necessarily unexpected, because he'd been struggling with depression actually from the army onwards, because he was forced to go to, what was it called? Conscription in the army. That was a hard time for him. I was in matric then. I can remember him to be hospitalized with depression. So that was definitely a disaster. That had a huge impact.
Sure. Well, that's taken the wind out of my sails a bit. I had no idea. Because I remember your brother's name was Dirk.
Yeah.
And I remember in our old house at number 8 Glen Road, he was forever, the girl next door was probably 2 or 3 or 4 years older than me, and her and Dirk were very good friends, and he was always over at her house, and I used to see him quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think that he and your sister may also have known each other.
Yeah, I think they were in the same church, or they were somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so that's just something that changes the course of your life in so many ways. And so that's also something, obviously, that I didn't, because one of your questions, Barry, was what would have shocked me if I had known about it. And certainly, you don't ever expect something like that to happen in your life. And I was studying psychology at the time. And that was the reason that I actually chose not to become a therapist, because it had such a big impact, and I just felt so young. I was 24, and I didn't really feel that I was ready to sort of start helping other people when, I don't know, I was just going through so much myself, or our family was going through so much.
Sure. Can imagine.
Okay, I'm going to hand you over to Barry, and you're going to have a chat about work and purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels strange to jump around after you sharing that. Now, that's very honest. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's also like, it's part of my truth. So if people ask me if I have a brother, I can never say no, I'm an only child, because I'm not. So it's something that I've always been quite open about. And it's always interesting that when you are open about things that you've been through, you're also met with a lot of openness from others. And also there's this illusion that we all have that, other people's lives are absolutely perfect, or other people don't go through stuff. And that's just, not true. That's just a complete fallacy. So, yeah, I try to be open about that.
All right, well, let me kick off the section with a question about the fabulous part of your work life. What is something that you're proud of professionally?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that I'm now, as a psychologist, because I started working as a therapist only 4 years ago, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to use all of my life experience and my working experience, because I had other jobs before that, and I'm sort of able to bring that now into my office, and help people, and really help them in a quite a concrete kind of way. And it's also very interesting because obviously I work in Dutch, but there are a lot of expats living in Leiden, in the Netherlands in general, but also in Leiden. And I'm the only one of my colleagues who's comfortable giving therapy in English. So I get to meet so many different people from all walks of life and from a lot of different countries. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's pride, but it's fun to share that kind of experience of living as a foreigner in this country.
Just for Peter's benefit, because he's only seen us on TV, do you have a couch that you force people to lie down when you're doing therapy? Is it that kind of vibe?
A divan? No, I do not.
In comfortable chairs with your legs crossed and cups of coffee?
No, we actually, because I often write things on a whiteboard. So we actually have a very simple setup with just a table, and I'm on the one side and they're on the other.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite business-like.
I like the couch more.
No, you're just afraid of that. Marianne, if you think back on your career, have you got any funny work stories worth sharing?
Oi, I should have one. What is a funny work story? Oh my goodness. I don't think so, guys. Sorry. I can't come up with anything.
No, that's all right. No, for those listening, Marianne didn't get these questions. So all of this is off the top of it.
Ah, come on, Marianne. Tell us a story about one of your crazies. You had to have had a crazy somewhere along the way.
Yeah, but let's be clear. This is Marianne. And as she said, she was a good student. She's a great therapist. And she is not going to divulge anything on a public forum.
Discretion is my middle name.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Marianne, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of career advice, what would it be?
I would definitely say, give yourself time. I heard this wonderful acronym recently, DDHD, instead of ADHD, and it stands for Dreams Don't Have Deadlines. And I didn't come up with it. I heard it. Somebody else came up with it. It's a rapper, LL Cool J.
Of all the people I thought you might quote today, LL Cool J was not near the top of my list.
Well, here it is. And I think that I certainly can remember being very impatient in my mid-30s. I really wanted to take big career steps and I wanted to achieve something. And it was right about the time I was having my kids. And it just seemed so imperative that I would have reached something by some stage. And now I just think it's so rejuvenating. Literally, I feel like I've become younger, starting a new career after turning 50. So I would definitely say to my younger self, take your time. You'll get there. Don't worry. And it's actually lovely to have parallel, or not, what's the word? Serial careers. Actually, parallel careers my husband has. He's an artist and he's a software engineer. And that's also fun. So, take your time. You'll get there.
Wow. Those are two careers. I'm talking about your husband now that do not feel like they go together.
No.
Artist and software
they're both
engineer.
creative, so I suppose.
I'm not sure software engineers are creative. They just do code all day, and then your other side of your brain is creating. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
I know what makes more money.
Yeah. Marianne, we're going to do what is called the fun and slightly naughty segment. There's only one person who can do that and do it well, and that's Peter. So, Pete, over to you.
He's such a flatterer. Listen, Eddie, and you were friends with Samantha, so you must have gone to many parties. So any secret talents or body tricks that we don't know about, or that your classmates didn't know about?
I wouldn't call it a party trick, but I do know that Samantha and I did land up in the pool sometimes with various
And I used to think about that a lot at school. Okay, is there anything at school you might have done that could be considered criminal?
That's such an interesting question. Honestly, I think I had a very strict dad, and I think that we had an authoritarian, hierarchical school system, and I was terrified of doing anything wrong. And like I said, I could not wait after school to go to kibbutz where I didn't have any kind of supervision. And there's this wonderful saying in Dutch, I did alles wat God verboden heeft at the kibbutz. So that's when I really kind of, let it all go. But
I love that saying. The Dutch have a few classics, and
Yeah,
my dad was
absolutely.
Dutch.
I was
And,
thinking
yeah,
about
yeah.
that, Peter, because of
Yeah.
your name. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, he only came here when he was 20, so he was probably still Dutch. Is there any teacher you would want to have a drink with now? And if, what would you ask them?
Well, that would certainly be the history teacher, Mr. Knowles. I would love to ask him what he was kind of, trying to bring across with the political cartoons. Because, that must have been so weird teaching us the sort of tenets of apartheid. We had to learn it. I remember, the sort of basic principles of apartheid, and that was curriculum stuff in matric. So that must have been weird. And I would be interested to know how he felt about that. And we also had a very cool Afrikaans teacher. I don't remember her name, but she took us to Neisner, a group of us, because we were studying that book, Kringe in a Bos by Daniel.
Yes.
I think you're talking about Mrs. von Ludwig.
How do you know all these names, David?
I promise you, I'm a mine of useless information.
David, for context, David has just come back from Cape Town where he's attended a television reality program where they do quiz
Quizzes.
stuff in
That's-
Afrikaans, and we're not allowed to say anything.
That's so interesting. Okay, so Mrs. van Ludwig, she was lovely. She was fun, and I would thank her for taking us on that trip because that was an amazing time. When actually the group that we were with got split, and one half saw an elephant, one of the remaining elephants
Wow.
in the Neisner Bos in what was it, 87?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You talk about Mr. Knowles, and he used to take us to Witkoppen High School, where we used to mix with the black students there. I think he most really must have been part of the underworld there, the ANC underworld in those days. I think we might have been a bit surprised what he was all getting up to.
Yeah, I think he probably wanted us. I remember he didn't take us. Well, I didn't go in the daytime.
We went at night.
But we went at night because it was a school for
Night
children during the day, and it was an adult education center at night. And I remember the one visit, seeing one of our domestic workers' friends there, who was doing, I don't know, standard 7 or whatever it was at the age of 40, probably.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, so that's another reason I think I should reach out to Mr. Knowles because he sounds amazing.
Listen, to go off on another tangent, what was your go-to outfit or look in the 80s? So us guys all just seem to say we had tucked-in jerseys. But
Yeah,
you girl-
well, it would certainly have been shoulder pads and certainly the teased hair. I remember Jackie talking about that in her podcast, and lots of eyeshadow and lip gloss, definitely. And I also remember having perms. I desperately wanted curls, so I used to have perms, and my hair was so straight, and so eventually my hair was just frizzy and terrible.
Yeah, that perms thing was everyone did it and we loved it, but it was
Terrible for our
I
hair.
remember my sisters, they used to come back from having it done and cry.
And the smell,
they cried to have
this
it, yeah.
awful smell of the peroxide or whatever it was.
Okay, I'm going to pass on to David for our second rapid fire questions. Dave.
Okay, Marianne, if you had to describe your life since 1987 in a headline, what would the headline say?
Okay, we can edit it out.
I want to suggest, after what you've told us, that maybe cougar.
You know what I will say? Cougar who loves cheerleading because
Okay, we didn't see that coming.
because I was thinking, obviously, because I heard the other people's podcasts, right? So I was thinking about what were the things that I loved at school. And as bad as I was at sports, I used to love cheerleading. I mean, that was such fun for me. Us going in a bus, we used to go to sports, I don't know, what some southern suburb schools, and we would have athletics meetings or swimming galas, and we would all cheerlead for Bryanston High School. And I loved that, screaming your lungs out at the top of your voice. And I think that enthusiasm for other people and enjoying their or celebrating their success, I think that that's something that I definitely have taken with me that I still to this day practice very much in my work. I love to encourage people and to be enthusiastic about their progress, and even if they're, small little victories, like subtle cheerleading, I still really like to do that. I think that's one of for me, the most fulfilling thing to do in life is to be happy for other people and to encourage them.
Nice. And do your children think your 80s photos are cool or cringe?
Or criminal, we were told to add that.
Yeah, pretty cool, actually. They can certainly appreciate, and we haven't gotten to music yet. I don't know if we will, but they definitely appreciate 80s music very much, which I find interesting because I think a lot of young people nowadays do, much more so than we appreciated our parents' music.
Yes. And who at school did you think was most likely to end up making headlines for good or bad reasons?
I don't know. I remember Kevin Travis talking about wanting to be a farmer, and we were surprised, but excellent that he went ahead and did it. And that's amazing. I don't know. I suppose I never really imagined that necessarily that David Hodnett would be as successful as he is now, not for any reason, except that he was quite an unassuming person. And I met up with him recently, and he told me that he always used to sit in the prefect's room and copy maths homework from Samantha and I. So we had a small part in his success. So I think that was an interesting thing to hear. But I don't remember having any expectations about people. It's ended so abruptly for me because when I was in the kibbutz, my parents decided that we were going to move to the Netherlands, and I didn't really have any choice in the matter. So I felt very severed from our Bryanston group, and that was hard. And that's why I've been so excited about reconnecting with people.
And Marianne, who was the biggest class clown during your time at Bryanston High?
Well, we were all in the same class, guys, so you tell me.
Please say Barry.
I'm tired of being accused of that.
I don't know. So who was it?
We're going to touch on Glavkos, but I think Glavkos was definitely a contender.
Yeah, I actually do have a memory of Glavkos, but you want to ask me the question. So, yeah, I don't know who else. I don't remember someone necessarily being a clown, but then again, I remember, was it Robbie? I sat next to some guy when we had final exams. We all sat in these tables, right? In the hall. We all had our own table, and there was a guy, and it must have been Robbie. And he was sitting next to me, and I remember him all the time singing that song, boom, 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 let's go back to my room so we can do it all right.
I don't think it was Robbie Gibson because I don't think he made matric exam.
Rob Williams.
Oh, Rob Williams. Oh, maybe,
Yeah, no, it wasn't Rob Williams. I would definitely have known.
It actually would be a class clown, if truth be told.
Yeah. Robbie was funny. Rob Williams was funny.
Robbie was funny, but I remember us having a very funny group of guys. Funny in the sense of really, nice, funny. We had Rob Williams and Lawrence McKeever and Mike McCready. Didn't they all come to our class in matric?
Yeah, they were all.
Yeah.
And Marianne, did you ever sneak out, fake a sick note, skip class for something memorable?
No, besides what I told you about as a prefect, some slight abuses of power. No, I never skipped class, I don't think.
And if we looked inside your school bag back in 1987, what would we find?
What did we have in our school bags? That's a good question. My only recollection of anything to do with school bags is guys who had Depeche Mode written on their school bags. And I remember that to me was like ultimately cool. That was a true symbol of coolness.
And what's the one thing that still makes you feel 17?
When I listened to music from that time, music from the 80s, the whole of the 80s, I think that we had the best music. We were so lucky to have been teenagers in that time. So I could be instantly transported to that period. And I actually think that we should also find someone, maybe there's a contender among you, to do a music podcast, because can you imagine how much fun we would have?
That's a good idea. We have talked about doing a quiz from the 80s and passing that round. So
we should definitely do that because...
Yeah. And getting different people to make the questions.
Marianne, I'm going to pass you back to Barry for our penultimate section on reflection and legacy.
Well, I'm pretty ready for anything you're going to ask me. Tell me.
How do you think Bryanston High shaped who you are today?
Well, I think it was amazing that we were all kind of just grouped together and there was no strict selection before starting high school, because in the system in the Netherlands is completely different. So at the age of 11, children are already tested to see how so-called intelligent they are. And then you get zoned into a school type based on your intelligence. So you have kids who go to like the highest level and then they can go automatically to university. But then you've got like a big group of kids that are not so smart apparently, and then they have to go to a more practical kind of school. And I hate that. I hate the fact that kids are put under so much pressure at such a young age. And I think it was great that we were just a whole mixed bunch. And of course, we were all white and we were all English speaking. So it wasn't necessarily
I
that
was going to raise that we did have some selection criteria.
Yes, that was certainly the case. But that being said, I think it was just an amazing experience to be with so many different people. And that really did shape me. And I think that it was a very all-round kind of experience. Also with so many extramural activities, the musicals and the cheerleading, as I was saying, and just this kind of involvement in school activities. Yeah, I had a very fun high school time. And I often speak to people here and high school was just so boring for them. They just don't have any significant memories.
If you could say one thing to your younger self in matric, what would it be?
You're okay. Don't worry. It's actually exactly the same as Sonia von Ponset said. When I heard her, I was like, oh my goodness, Sonia, that is exactly what I would have wanted to say to myself. Just take your time. You're fine. You'll get there.
And then what advice would you give to today's students at Bryanston High? Same thing?
Repeat.
Yeah, I suppose so. I'm actually very curious to know what it's like to be at Bryanston High School now. I don't really know what it's like being there now, but I think it's such a universal thing and it still applies. Yeah.
We've come to almost the end. I think Dave called my section the penultimate, which means this is the ultimate. And sadly, the ultimate is being led by Peter. So last two questions. Pete, over to you.
Oh, they say the ultimate, though, you talk about certificate. I got a whole lot of fun at school. So I got my matric certificate. How's that? Okay, so this questionnaire is actually, I think I'm quite keen to hear what you say. Imagine we finishing the podcast and there's a song that's going to play out to our whole discussion, and as it fades away, the words are going to be remembered, the last thing remember. What would your song, or what song do you think should be played?
I spent a lot of time thinking about music. I did a whole deep dive into the music that I love from the 80s, and it was very difficult to choose.
I'm going with Fleetwood Something.
Yeah, I thought so, because
that was a strong contender. I could also tell you who all the contenders were, because
what about Pet Shop Boys?
All right, tell us.
Okay, can I not have a little slight build up to it and tell you what I did?
That's what I'm doing. Tell us.
Okay, so I went through my guilty pleasures, which were Pet Shop Boys, definitely, and also Erasure. A full disclosure here, people. And also Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And
she's reading from notes. Look.
No, and also it's just because in the 80s, we had so many amazing musicians. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have seen the new Bruce Springsteen biopic, but I mean, that music was being made, when we were in high school, and not to mention David Bowie and Freddie Mercury.
Look, we all know berries would be money for nothing, chicks for free kind of thing. Dire Straits.
Dire Straits. No, but what about David Byrne, Talking Heads?
Oh, yes.
Contender. And so this is not the song that I'm going to say that I want to have at the play up, but I think one of my all-time favorites from that period is Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams.
Nice.
But now I'm going to tell you what my song is. And it's the Bangles, because Samantha and I loved the Bangles. And it's Walk Like an Egyptian, because my daughter is now
Walk Like an Egyptian.
So shout out to all the wonderful women out there, all the feminists, fight the patriarchy. This is my song.
That's kind of cool, and I like it. Okay, so now we head to the one that you mentioned, our lost friend, Glavkos Varkas. So here we're asking, where's Glavkos? We try to find Glavkos. No
Right.
one knows. Where do you think old Glavkos is? And do you remember him?
Absolutely, I remember him, and I can remember we was doing the book "Cry the Beloved Country" by Alan Payton, and I can remember Glavkos saying about the protagonist in the book, he was a victim of circumstances, and I remember us all being just like, "Whoa, that's a very profound thing to say."
You've read that somewhere.
And honestly, I hope that Glavkos is living on a beautiful Greek island with a lovely wife and lovely kids. I hope he's happy and, in a great place.
Me and David did once do a bit of deep diving on Google, and we did find someone who could be Glavkos' son. And he, at least, if we found the right person, he has at least one very handsome, strong-looking son. So that's assuming David and I got it right.
And then finally, last question. Who would you like us to interview, and do you know how to get hold of?
What about Claire?
Yeah, Claire's on the list as
Claire's
well.
on the list.
Definitely
Okay.
on the list.
But Marianne, you mentioned Robin Bell. Is she not interested in connecting, or is it just?
Jackie's been in touch with her recently,
Oh,
so
okay.
she could be.
I remember Robin was also
She was
Very
that's
good
it.
at drama.
house plays, and she was
Absolutely. She was a very good actress, and she also directed plays, I think. Yeah, very artistic as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm keen to hear from anybody, guys. I think this is such a fantastic initiative, and it's been for me, because Barry asked me before I left for our trip to Egypt. So I've been stewing over the whole thing in my mind and thinking of what my answers would be to your questions. And it's been a fantastic process of reconnecting with my high school self and looking back and sort of also realizing that we had a great bunch of people that we were thrown together with, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we were. And that's another walk down memory lane with Dave. Really? Sorry, he just coughed. And that's another walk down memory lane with a class of 87. We're older, wiser, and still laughing at the same old jokes. Thanks for listening. And remember, you can leave Bryanston High, but Bryanston High never really leaves you. Until next time, stay cheeky, stay curious, and keep the stories coming.
Yay!